All over the UK, thousands of women and young girls are living in period poverty. 49% of girls have missed an entire day of school because of their period. As females, having a period isn't a choice, and neither is paying for period products. More than 1 in 10 girls has had to improvise sanitary wear due to affordability issues. My name is Beth Braine, and this is my investigation into how we can end period poverty here in the UK. I decided to speak to 3 different women who all devote their time raising awareness to end period poverty. Lindsay Patterson, who collects donations for the Red Box project to drop off free period products to schools for young girls. Danielle Rowley, an MP who supports an end to period poverty and stood up in the House of Commons to directly address the Prime Minister and ask what she is doing to help. And Gabby Edlin, the founder of Bloody Good Period, a charity that supplies 25 asylum seeker drop-in centres with free period products.
I think there's a lot of pressure on women in particular and people who menstruate to talk about their periods, but actually it's everyone's issue.
Tampons aren't a luxury product and they're taxed as a luxury product, and it's just not right.
But it's, you know, it's something that has held people back for forever and has been used as a tool to manipulate and to hold down women, and so it's no surprise that it's going to take a while. You know, it might have sort of become a lot easier in the circles that I run in, but it's not necessarily easy globally when you don't have the funds to afford the products themselves, let alone the luxury of being able to talk about it.
Coming up at the moment, hopefully it'll be more comfortable that people can just start talking about it freely, because it's something that happens to every female.
You know, on Twitter, people saying, oh, that's disgusting, we don't want to hear about that. And it's just such a natural part of life that we really need to stamp out the taboo of that. And I think we can't get to the bottom of period poverty until we are talking about it in Parliament and we have people comfortable talking about it.
I spoke to Gabby and Danielle about social media and the importance of a platform on this scale that could help influence so many to want to end period poverty.
From my experience, when I talked about being on my period, the horrible messages I got, you know, I'd hate for a young woman to talk about periods online and to get all of those messages and feel really alone. So I think that we need, you know, a fantastic army of women talking about the positive, not even just the positive sides of periods, talking about all of it, but in a positive and engaging way. I think that'd be really good to see.
And actually, I found that the most powerful thing was just that you could create this kind of atmosphere that's a bit like a classroom. So, I mean, it can be bad, but also you can basically start this conversation, and people who wouldn't ordinarily feel comfortable talking about it, once the floodgates have opened, it's just easy. Yeah, pun intended, constantly, or not intended. But the hashtag is absolutely crucial. It is how people access information now, and to say that, you know, it needs to be beyond social media is just like saying, well, it needs to be beyond media.
The negative stigma behind periods means a lot of women struggle to talk about it openly, especially when the cost of having a period is so high. Bloody Good Period estimate that on average in a lifetime, a woman spends £4,800 on their period. This works out at £128 a year, or just under £11 a period.
I mean, the stigma around periods is millennia old. It's decades, centuries old, and it's not as easy to undo as just sort of snapping your fingers.
I think for young girls, we need to be talking more in schools and in family units about periods, and just generally preparing girls, but also so that when it does happen, when they get their first period and perhaps they can't afford to buy any period products, they don't feel too scared to come forward and ask someone or talk to perhaps a teacher about it. So I think it's really important for young women, and I think by having open conversations with younger women, then that will help to, you know, break down taboos through generations.
There were sort of activists globally, but actually period poverty didn't, as a sort of concept, hadn't really come along until I think end of 2016. Even though there were people working on it, it wasn't really acknowledged in the same way that it is now.
Danielle received a lot of attention after the clip of her talking about her period in the House of Commons went viral. While some praised her for being so open, others were quick to criticise.
When I talked about being on my period in the House of Commons, I didn't really expect the reaction I was going to get, and it was such a huge reaction, positive and negative. But even the positive reaction, you know, it just showed how far we have to go. I've been a long-time campaigner on equality and eradicating poverty generally, and I think part of the wider conversation has to be around women are in period poverty because they're in poverty.
The statistics show that a lot of young girls are missing school due to their period. I spoke to Lindsay about the work she does at the Red Box Project to try and prevent this from happening.
It allows young people from primary schools or junior schools, secondary schools and youth clubs to access menstrual products for free of charge. So they can take as much as supply as they need for a whole month, or if they just come on their period for that day, and it saves them going home from school to get changed and potentially not coming back, or just skipping school for the entire week that they're on their period for.
The fact that young girls are missing school because they can't afford sanitary products, you know, that's just absolutely awful. I think that I'm very passionate about inequality and all types of poverty, but period poverty is something that really struck me that, you know, it's specifically about women and girls, and it results in girls missing school, it results in women missing work, and it's such a barrier to women in life.
I mean, secondary schools is one part of it. They also need the education. We also need to be in primary schools, asylum seeker drop-in centres, refuges, everywhere basically that you would expect to have toilet paper. You need to be having period products, and you need to have the education as well.
I think that we have to keep working. You know, we can't think job done and sit back. We have to make sure that period poverty is eradicated.
If the government goes through with it and goes through with it properly, it's great, it's brilliant, because these products need to be as available as toilet paper. It's just a matter, it's just a fact, and the fact that we haven't got to this point yet is an embarrassment, rather than celebrating the fact that they've suddenly realised that women are people.
Although progress has been made towards the cause, there is still a long way to go. And one thing is for certain, we can't end period poverty alone.
Together, we can end period poverty.
Together, we can end period poverty.
Together, we can end period poverty.
Together, we can end period poverty.